People are ready to roll here. What's this Hoosier truck doing? Is he just pulling forward or is he leaving? Looks like he might be stopping. And it's the Scotland group's truck going the wrong way. Coming left? Nope. See a four-wheeler coming on down the street on the left. Must be clear over there, because I see Scotland pulling out. I don't think I'm going to clear this intersection here when this FedEx gets there, so I'm going to wait here. Yeah. Do these guys not know you're supposed to go the other way? Come on. I'm not getting screwed again by frickin' idiots pulling out of the damn wrong end of the wrong driveway. Much I don't want to be blocking the intersection, it's not going to keep having another truck driver screw me over either. 3:47 left on the clock, so it means I can get at most another 250 miles before I have to stop. That would put me just a little bit short of the New Mexico border. I was hoping to make it to Lordsburg, New Mexico, but I will have to settle for stopping elsewhere. Not a big deal. I'm only getting 6:45 back in recaps tomorrow, so this means I'll get a chance to run a little bit more tomorrow when I'm still going to have to sit and wait on recaps. Urban areas like this, it's a really good idea to leave a lot of extra space here in front of you, because there's so many times you're going to see a whole bunch of four-wheelers getting on the freeway all at the same time, and they're all going to be one right behind each other. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to worry about them so much about whether they're going to cut in front of you. Just plan on that happening. They'll probably do it anyway. Not saying that you don't have right of way, but part of the responsibility of being a professional driver is being a good defensive driver, knowing how to avoid problems before they happen. Honda's playing with his phone. Keeps looking down and back up, and would also explain why why he laid back further behind the other Honda, and now he's sped up. So we got potential problems right here at this ramp. So yeah, I'm already backing off. Now you can see why. Four-wheeler thought they'd try to force their way in front of me. I knew they were there, but I'm also not gonna just willingly let them take advantage of me either. You're the one coming off the off ramp, coming out from the on ramp into my lane. It's your responsibility to yield to me. I don't have to yield to you. Pickup might come over also. You might be okay staying there. One of the downfalls with being in the far right lane too is you got to deal with all the on-ramp and off-ramp traffic regardless. So I may just move over just so I can be away from them. I won't have to deal with these guys if I don't need to. Phoenix is just going to take a little bit of patience to deal with. It's a 65 zone right now, and I'm only doing 53, 54, but it's just what you get with big cities. When we get to I-17 here, you can take either direction. You can take 17 south, and it wraps around the south, basically the west and south end of the downtown area. Or you can just stay on 10, which goes around the north and east side. They end up meeting back up with each other over on the southeast side of downtown, over by the airport though. I can move over to the left, but it's not going to do me any good. I'm just going to sit there and be just marginally faster than I am now, and what difference does it really make? So for now, I'll just be patient and stay here behind this cleaning solutions truck, whatever, van, whatever. May move over that way when I think there's a better motive to be over there. So with all this traffic coming off 17, I might just move over in a second after this, what's that, Buick or whatever that thing is, passes me. it once it's going to move over, but apparently not. Now, which do you think is safer? This Ford cut in front of me, or the Honda he went to get around? It should have been over in the first place. I think it would have been a better scenario if the Honda would have moved over. Down just for the debris or something? Yeah, looks like it. That's one of those spots here where I was tempted to just stay in the left lane and get around this guy also. But he's only going marginally slower than me, and there's a lot of four-wheeler traffic on the road right now. And since we're getting into the Casa Grande area, I also know that a third lane's going to open up here pretty soon. So I'm okay with waiting a little bit for that third lane to open up and then creep past them there. Until then, I can do 68, 69, doesn't bother me. Be a cop in the median watching traffic somewhere around here. He said 188. Should be about a mile from here. cam right there. Or no. Yep. Watching our side. Wrong with going in the first number one lane to pass me. You just have to wait for me to move over before you go by. Oh, no wonder you got your phone up to your head. You don't know how to talk and drive at the same time, do you? The driver of this Ford Explorer here that's passing me was in the number 2 lane catching up to me when I moved over to pass up that other truck. Absolutely no one at all coming in the number 1 lane. So instead of moving over to pass me and keep her speed up where it was, she decides to just slow down and follow me in the number 2 lane. And once I moved over to, after I got through passing the other truck, she decides to go ahead and speed back up to what speed she was originally going. Now as you can see, she's slowed down to my speed, so now I gotta be concerned am I gonna need to move over because of her in a second. Flag at half staff. A little post office over there, the U.S. flag is flying at half staff. I don't know why. This woman seriously doesn't know what she's doing. Half tempted to back off just to mess with her. Don't even think about it. woman's going to hang out behind Fry's and then wait for me to pass Fry's and then come back around me again. Might be time. It's like bittersweet. It's like half relieved that I feel like I might not have to deal with her again, but also disappointed now that my fun's gone away. I'm a retired Air Force aircraft mechanic, and I worked on heavy aircraft, cargo jets. I know what kind of stuff our jets carry. I may not know exactly how many they can carry at times, but I know what I have seen them carry. And also, in a rapid deployment, they're not going to put helicopters on a freaking Navy ship. Maybe they might put some on there, but I doubt it. But anyway, when I was in Holbrook doing my 10-hour break and all that, one of the guys working there turns out is our Army vet himself. So I get to asking him about his a little more. Since he has a little more expertise in matters of how Army troops actually deploy their equipment. And he basically agreed with me 100% that they don't put Army helicopters on Navy ships. They fly them over, which is exactly what I expected. And I worked on C-17s, and I know that they can carry Blackhawks. And I didn't know how many. I figured it'd probably be about 2, knowing about how big the cargo compartment is on a C-17, having personally worked on them. And knowing about how big an H-60 Blackhawk is. So I just assumed that it could probably hold 2. And then I did some research and confirmed that, yes, that is exactly true. C-17 can carry 2 Blackhawks. And then a C-5, which is the biggest aircraft the U.S. Air Force has, that can carry 6 Blackhawks. So there's no reason to put helicopters on a freaking ship unless they belong to the Marine Corps or the Navy. And even then, I'm sure they only do that to support their own carrier operations and stuff. So, or search and rescue operations. So, more evidence that this guy just has no idea what the hell he's talking about, and he's trying to get someone who actually is a veteran and actually is retired and has actually worked on large aircraft to believe his bullshit story. The 244, about 244, almost 245 mile marker, which is just getting just about into the north end of Tucson. No, it's not Tucson, as some of you might think it's pronounced. It's pronounced Tucson. Actually, this city here is where I started my active duty, did my active duty time. Right here on the other end of town at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. leave them an opening just in case. At least give them an option. Alright, there we go. Yeah, even if he didn't take the space that I was leaving, it's at least he has the option if he needs to avoid one of those four-wheelers, if maybe one of them gets stupid or something. up to now, car? Passing me, then you slow back down to the same speed as me. It makes me worried that you're gonna move back over right in front of me too close to the same speed as well. These are all just examples of why you love to drive at nighttime. There's far less traffic to deal with and not nearly as many annoying people to have to put up with. Speaking of spreadsheet, I have a spreadsheet that makes the calculating easy. I can do it on my head too, but well, as far as the HOS, I mean my 70-hour clock and recaps are concerned, I find it easier to just plug all the numbers into my spreadsheet, and then it can tell me how many hours I have to work with for between now and each particular day, and within the next 8 days. As far as figuring out ETAs are concerned and how many hours I need and all that, I can do all that in my head. But the spreadsheet does make it a nice thing also. It has a couple of quirks to it that are easy for me to work with because I understand it, but a lot of people tend to have difficulty with the way I have my times and all that set up in there. Now, I may make a little, maybe make some little footage of what that spreadsheet involves and how I use it. Yeah, maybe I'll put it on the end of this video too. Four-wheelers in the inside lane. We're good. What are you waiting for, Si? You got a green arrow. A different shade of green. I guess he's going into there. Don't park in the road by the fuel island. about the ballpark about 420 miles in today. It's not bad. Not as many as I could have got, but let's see, I still got an hour 47 on my 70-hour clock, so I really could have got an extra 100 miles if I didn't have the 14-hour clock running down on me. I only have an hour and 10 left on my 14, and that's not going to stop. And I'm only getting 645 back tonight, so add in the 645 and the 140, we'll just say 140-ish. That'll put me about 8.5 hours to work with on my next shift, which is barely enough. I might be able to get about 500 miles out of that, but I don't know yet. We'll see. How are we looking for on-time delivery on this one? So, yeah, I think he's had a little bit of a concern on this one. I think as soon as I saw that November 11, I got a little concerned about it too. Let's find out. Okay, guys, I'm going to show you the spreadsheet I use. It's kind of a little bit about how it works, and I'm going to figure out if I can actually make this delivery on time. So I'm going to show you the spreadsheet real quick and what I'm working with, and then I'm going to switch over to Google Maps because I'm going to have to figure out how many miles away I am from the receiver. So, all right, so this is the spreadsheet right here. You'll see over here, I have it set up, I had it on a Google sheet and I was sharing with other people, but it was kind of, it's just a little slow on the sheet. So I made my own version of it. Just haven't changed it to where I can do solo or team, because I don't really have a need for to calculate teams on this particular one. My Google sheet that I do share with a few people, I do have it set up so you can select solo or team, and it'll actually figure out automatically what your ETA is based on what kind of driver you are, and how many 10-hour breaks you'll need, and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm a solo driver. Now I got to figure out how many miles I need to cover. So let's go to Google Maps real quick. And I usually save all of my destinations as starred locations. This is a little slow here, so customer we're going to is Super Value here on Gadsden Street in Quincy, Florida. Okay, so I'm going to navigate to it, start up my location. Okay, so when we see here the fastest route, the I-10 route basically is 1,705 miles. If you take the I-20 and I-10 route, it's 1,721. So it's not much different taking the I-10, the I-20 route as it is the I-10 route. But generally, I-10 is a little bit faster. Either way, we're going to have some big cities to deal with. If I take the I-20 route, I'm going to have to deal with the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And of course work our way over to I think Shreveport and what's this, Jackson, if I remember right. I forget. I'd have to zoom in on that. I want to say it's Jackson. And then it shows us cutting down Highway 49, I believe, from Jackson area down to Mobile, Alabama, and then pick up 10 over in the Mobile area. The other way is to just stay on 10 all the way. It's just 15-mile difference. That's it. So, but I will have, on I-10, we'll have San Antonio area to deal with. Hopefully we get through there at night. It's Houston. That's another one that's really important to try to get there during off-peak hours if we can. That can really slow you down. Among some other cities here. Baton Rouge. Let's see, some of the other ones. And not really too many big cities that concern me, except for I'd say San Antonio, Houston, and Baton Rouge are the only ones that I think really concern me very much on the I-10 direct route. But let's just say it's 1705. for the distance. So what I'm going to do is come here to 1705. Okay, today's date. Now I'm going to just hit control semicolon, and that puts today's date in here. The current time, now I'm using this in a decimal format, not in a regular time format. Because what I do is I work by 15-minute increments. Every 15 minutes is a quarter of an hour, so every quarter of an hour is 0.25. It is currently 1300 local. This is Arizona time now, which is Mountain Standard. Florida is Eastern time, which is 2 hours ahead. So it's actually 1500 at the moment. Now, also I got to keep in mind I'm going to start my shift 10 hours later. So in reality, it's going to be 1 a.m. on the 9th in Florida when I actually start my next shift. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and make this 11:09 at 1 a.m. Okay, my planned trip speed is 55 miles an hour. Destination appointment is the 11th at 2400. I'm going to just put 24. So this is telling me that I'm going to need about 31 duty hours to work with to get it there. We'll need 2 more 10-hour breaks in between here and there, and not including the one that I just started right now. But I've already factored in the 10 as far as the current date and time are concerned anyway. And total hours it's going to take me, if I didn't have any kind of HOS delays, would be 51 hours, which is 2 days and 3 hours. I have a method to that, how I calculate that also, but whatever you want to, whatever method you want to use to figure that out, hey, knock yourself out. But okay, 2 days and 3 hours. So basically, the 11th at 1 a.m. and then add 3 more hours to that. That's 4 a.m. That's one of the ways you can figure this out. So theoretically, I can get there on the 11th at 4 a.m. but only if I have hours to work with. Okay, so this is telling me, and as you see here, it's now the raw ETA. What that is it's adding my total hours required. The 51. That's how many between my duty hours and my 10-hour breaks combined. That's how many hours I will need to get there, and it adds the current time. So I got 5,200. Basically 5,200 hours on the 9th, but since there are only 24 hours in a day, what it does is every time it's above 24, it subtracts 24 from this number and adds a day. So it would be like 11:09 at 5,200. Okay, subtract 2,400. That would put us at what, 2,800? Yeah, 2,800 on the 10th. But since there are only 24 hours again, then I got to take away 24 hours again. So 28 minus 24 is 4. And then you change the date from the 10th to 11th. So that's how I come up with that. If you want to work at your own little methods too, however you think you might be able to figure it out, have that. You should be able to come up with pretty much the same results though. Now, we're going to have to come over here to current hours. Let me double check what I had. I think it was like an hour and 35. Okay, correction, an hour and 38. Now, I will have to factor in because I'm going to start right at 1 a.m. That's also midnight Central Time, which is when my recaps also come in. So I will have to do a little messing with this. Instead, it's at 1:38. I'm gonna just start with this once first. I need to factor in the first recap though. 6:45, I believe. Yeah, 6:45. Then I got 11:51, 9:01, 6:15. Okay, those two are still there. 8:31, 9:45, 7:39, and 8:35. Okay, so that adds up to 70 hours, but now I'm going to have a fresh day to work with, so I'm going to add in now. See, I got the 138 plus the 6:45 gives me 8:23, so I'm going to put 8:23 right here. and push everything up to the top one. And so just basically bump everything up one row. 9:45, 7:39, 8:35, and then 0 because I haven't driven anything yet for that one. So, okay, so now what I'm doing is comparing how many hours I have between each of these days here to this right here. I need 31 hours to get there. Okay, so what this is telling me, if I go at a 55-mile-an-hour pace, I don't have enough hours to work with on the 11th to get there. Now, let's just say if I can run 60, let's just, for the heck of it, see what happens. If I can run 60, I only need 28 duty hours, and that might give me just enough by about 45 minutes to get there on the 11th. So, really, really tight. We normally trip plan for 55. I'll tell them that at 55 I don't have enough, but at 60 I look like I will by less than an hour. How they want to handle that, I don't know. Most of the route I will be taking should be pretty flat. So, yeah, I don't know. We just have the X factors of what time I'm going to end up going through some of these big cities and see if I can run through, maybe try to time my shifts if possible to where I run through those cities in the middle of the night or something when there's less likely to be any traffic to help prevent me from getting there on the day of the delivery. So overall here, it looks like we'll be all right, possibly, if I can run 60-mile-an-hour pace. And, you know, if I can get there, if it's saying I got a 4 a.m. ETA on the 11th, then that gives me almost a full day to work with, slack time to work with to get it there. So, that's a good sign, where I don't feel like I have to actually be rushed on anything. But the main concern here is, as long as I can drive, keep my wheels spinning at 70 miles an hour as much as possible on this shift, so I minimize the chances of running out of hours to work with. That's my key concern here. So this is not one of those loads where I'm going to want to run, maybe if I feel like running a more fuel efficient plan, where maybe I run 55, 60 just to save myself some fuel costs. Problem is, if I do that, obviously I definitely won't have enough hours to work with to get it there. So, in other words, I need to keep the number of stops I make for different purposes to a minimum. I can take pretty much whatever time I want to take in between while I am actually at stops, but I don't want to keep the truck getting slowed down, getting off the freeway, getting from the freeway to a truck stop or wherever I want to stop. And then let's just say maybe I have to stop just for fuel and then get back on the road and take the time driving slow, getting from the fuel island back to the freeway, getting back up to the freeway speed once I'm on the ramp. And then do the same thing over again when I'm ready to take a 30-minute break or whatever amount of time I want to take on it, and repeat the process on 10-hour breaks. So, in other words, the plan here is whenever I stop for fuel, that's also I'm going to stop for either a break, some kind of a break, whether it's a 30-minute break or a 10-hour break. It doesn't matter. The point is here, I don't want to be making more than one stop in between, in the middle of my shift. I basically start my shift, take one break of whatever length I want in between, and then run the rest of my shift. And then once I stop the second time, my shift ends. So that's kind of how I'm going to end up running this. But it looks really, really tight. I have a feeling he'll end up wanting to put me on the repower monitor just in case. And it wouldn't be a bad idea, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'll definitely do my part to at least try to get it there on time and with what hours I do have to work with. But yeah, that's all I have for now. Hope and then Yeah, actually, I will say I did talk about how I drove about 420 miles today. Nowhere near what I could have ran on a normal shift where I'm not stopping at customer facilities for any reason. Because, like I said, at 70 miles an hour on a full shift, I can run a 700 plus, or a little bit over 700, maybe 730. But since I don't have that, um, that's well, actually, because I stopped at, I made a delivery. I also had to get a tire changed, had to get a trailer washed out, and had to stop and get fuel in my reefer tank before I went and picked up my load. So, had all that, and then on top of that, I had to pick up the load. All that does, all those actions take time off of the amount of time I can spend on my 14-hour shift, actually moving my wheels, moving freight toward its receiver, or driving toward my pickup. So, 420 miles, really not a bad day at all, considering what all happened with it. And like I say, I ended up going 13 hours into my shift, so it kind of tells you I had a lot going on that didn't involve driving the truck. But even a 420, let's just say 400 miles on a 7-day week, that's still a 2,800 mile week. Not great, but it's not bad at all either. I mean, I don't really complain about a 2,800 mile week. Now, I definitely would rather have like a 31, 32, or even a 3,500 week. But like I say, just 7 days a week of doing 400 miles, that's, it'll feel like easy money to you, actually, because you won't even run an 8-hour shift, and you just do it 7 times a week, and you still have at least a quality week, if not a great one. But 500 miles a day times 7 days a week, that's 3,500 miles. And even a 500 mile day for me isn't that hard at all. I can do 500 miles in roughly 8 hours. So, and if you put it another way, with the trip planning, I can run 4 hours, stop, take a break, run another 4 hours, and then start my 10-hour break, and there's my 500 right there. I'm not in the driver's seat for any longer than 4 hours at a time, but I'm still having a quality day when I'm doing that. So that's one of the reasons why I like to run on recaps. I still get quality miles in a week, and I never feel like I'm burning myself out. I don't feel like I'm overworking myself on any particular shift trying to get stuff done when I run like that. Anyway, that's all I have for now. We'll continue this with a new episode, I guess, if you will, of my vlog starting hopefully tomorrow. All right, thanks for watching.